Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to use rational equations to solve real-life problems. Now in algebra we normally use rational equations to solve two different kinds of problems. One are called work problems and the other one are called distance, rate, time problems, or DIRT problems. I won't go over one of the DIRT problems. I'm just going to go over just one of the work problems with you in this video. I'll save the other one for a different time. So let's talk about work problems. This is an example of a type of problem that you would solve using rational equations. In other words, everything that we've been studying, we can actually use it in real life. Now, let's read this together and see what it was trying to ask us to solve. Okay, so Spencer's working by himself. And when he works by himself, he can do a roof, he can reshingle a roof in 12 hours. Okay? Now Shane comes along and works with him. Together, they can finish the job in 4 hours, so they cut a lot of time off when they're working together. So the question is this: how long will it take Shane, the guy who came along, if he were working by himself, to finish the job? Okay, does that make sense? So we have Spencer finishing the whole job in 12 hours, Shane coming along, they finish the job together in 12 hours, in 4 hours together. How fast is Shane basically working if he had to do it by himself? Seems like a tough problem, but actually they're not too bad. Let me show you a formula that you can always use to solve these problems. And that is basically some fraction plus some fraction is always going to be equal to 1. Now let's think about that for a second. What does the 1 represent? Well, the 1 represents the total job. So, for example, we'll call this fraction Spencer. This is Spencer's fraction, how long it takes him to do the whole job. And this is Shane's fraction. Okay? And that makes some sense, right? Because if Spencer were doing the job by himself, we would have 12 hours. 12 over 12 will equal to 1. Okay? If Shane were doing by himself, it's going to be something over something, and that's going to be equal to 1. So this is what we're looking for, is Shane. All right? So it's given us a little bit of an idea of what we need to put in each one of these 4 parts of the fraction. Now in the denominator, let me just do it this way. Move that up a little bit. In the denominator, you're going to put how long it takes one person to complete the job. By the way, it doesn't have to be a person. This could be 2 machines working on a printing thing. It could be 2 computers working on a problem. It can be just any 2 things, right? So basically, how long does it take one entity to finish the job? Now we know a little bit about that. We know that Spencer can do it in 12 hours, so let's put 12 there. We don't know how long it takes Shane to do it by himself, so we're going to make that my unknown. That's my x. Now, what are we going to put in the numerator? Let's do that over here. In both numerators, you're going to put the same thing up there as well. And that's how long it takes both of them to complete the job. How long it takes both people, both individuals, both machines, both cars, whatever, both individuals to complete the job. Did I write that right? Complete the job. Now what do we know about here? We know that it takes both of them 4 hours to complete the job. So you're going to put the same thing in both numerators. And look what we've got. We now have basically a rational equation, a very simple one, but we have a rational equation. We have 4 over 12 plus 4 over x is equal to 1. Now let's go ahead and solve that, and I'll show you how this makes sense in the context of the problem. 4 over 12, that's basically equal to 1 over 3, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's reduce. We get 1 over 3 plus 4 over x is equal to 1. Again, remember how to solve rational equations. You want to find common denominators, right? Or the lowest common denominator. And you can see that the lowest common denominator would be 3x. Very good. So let's multiply this by 1, like we did in class. Let's multiply this by 3 over 3, and let's multiply this by 3x over 3x. All right? And remember what happens when you have the lowest common denominator. You can actually cross them out. And now look what we have. In my next step, I'm going to have 1x plus 12 is equal to 3x. I'm getting closer to solving this. Since this is a degree of 1, we know that we're just going to solve for x. Let's move this x over here. And I subtract x from both sides. And let's divide by 2. In other words, it will take Shane, let's interpret this. Let's go back up to the x now. And what does that mean? Basically, Shane, working by himself, can complete the job in 6 hours. There we go. Okay, I hope that makes some sense. And if you put that number in here, you'll see that the two fractions actually work. 4 over 12 is 1/3. Let's just check that. Plus 4 over 6, which is what? 2/3. And sure enough, that's equal to 1. And that's why you know you did it correctly.